Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm so grateful. In today's video, I would be reacting to one of the podcasts by Jay Shetty that includes Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now, I have come across his teachings a lot on these short clips which are available on YouTube and Instagram, but I've never really seen any in-depth interviews or podcasts that he has been a part of. He has also published a lot of books. He does retreats, he does talk shows. Now, his teachings don't purely talk about manifestation. It's not that language, but they focus a lot on healing yourself, on breaking your own habits that are in your way of becoming a better version of yourself, transforming yourself. So I am really excited to watch this podcast and see if I can learn something new, if I can come across some new perspective that I can apply to my manifestation process, and if there is anything at all that I do not agree with personally. This video is also going to be a reply to all of those people who say that manifestation teachers just bluff about it being backed up by science to gain more views or to make people trust them. Once in a while, I keep seeing these kind of videos just to understand their perspective. These are titled as Law of Attraction ruined my life, Manifestation ruined my life, I lost everything because of manifestation. Manifestation completely ruined my mental health. Some are from the people who were not able to succeed in changing their behavioral patterns and their beliefs. And some are from the people who are talking about it and criticizing it from the perspective of being a good religious person. In one of those videos, I came across this person who was saying that, none of this is backed up by science. And here again, I would like to distinguish between two things: the surface level manifestation, the fake manifestation, and how people criticize law of attraction. Yes, that might not be backed up by science, but the genuine manifestation, the process of awakening your consciousness, the process of how your mind works, the process of how your brain waves work, that is backed up by science, okay? They do physical experiments. Their results are data-driven. And this video is all you need to understand how science is connected to manifestation, how important your mindset is for the people who make fun of other people when they talk about mindset, how important your energy, awareness, and focus work is, how powerful your thoughts are, your mind is, and how powerful you are as a being, how there are limitless possibilities and so much abundance out there.
Primarily, 90% of the time we think the same thoughts as we thought the day before. The challenge with that is the thought that you keep thinking over and over again becomes a belief. And nerve cells that fire together wire together. So the more nerve cells fire, the more they develop long-term relationships, and the more hardwired they become. The more hardwired they become, the more automatic they are. The more automatic they are, the more unconscious they become. So the process of change really requires becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts, which means just because you have that thought doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. If you have that thought and you accept it, you believe it, you surrender to it without analyzing it, that thought will lead to the same choice, which will lead to the same behavior, which will create the same experience, which then will produce the same emotion. The same emotions then drive our very same thoughts.
So yes, a belief is nothing else but a repetitive thought. That's what we are teaching in the manifestation community. The whole foundation of manifestation is you changing your beliefs that align with the new circumstance you're seeking, the new story you want unfolding in your reality. What is the one thing that you need to do for that? If I have to summarize manifestation in just one sentence, okay, I have this desire, I want this to be my reality. I need to have beliefs that match that desire. This is the whole manifestation process that includes so many different kind of topics summarized into one sentence. You want something? Fine. Are your beliefs aligned with it? Just one plain simple question. Either the answer will be no or the answer will be yes. If your answer is no, then comes the work that needs to be done. Okay? Recognizing your limiting beliefs, recognizing any kind of fears you have around failure, fears you have around rejection, abandonment, not being able to achieve what you want, something being too good for you, and then coming up with a routine so that you can change those beliefs with repetition every day, Okay, remember, a repetitive thought becomes a belief. Not once in a while thought that you can categorize as wishing, hoping, wondering, once in a while daydreaming. No. You want something, you claim it, become decisive about it, create a routine around it, and ensure every day, at least 3 to 4 times a day, you're impressing your subconscious mind. Once your beliefs align with the situation, the circumstance, the new story you're seeking, it's going to show up in your reality in the most beautiful way possible.
So in the process of change, when you come up against that unconscious belief and you make it conscious, most people get uncomfortable when they confront that thought. And they're stopping an automatic process. And the body, which has been conditioned to be the mind because it's doing something over and over again, that's a habit, is craving the experience because it wants the emotion associated with it, right? So the thought of being unworthy produces the feeling of being unworthy. That feeling then, when the person feels unworthy, tends to cause the person to think more unworthy thoughts. It only takes a thought and a feeling, an image of yourself and an emotion, a stimulus and response, and you can condition the body to memorize that behavior and that emotional state better than the conscious mind. So the moment we inhibit that thought, or the moment we become conscious of it and we no longer accept it, there's a biological craving that takes place in the body because the body has been conditioned to be the mind. So the body starts influencing the mind to think more corresponding thoughts equal to that feeling. So here comes the assault. Then you're not only unworthy, you're everything else that goes along with that feeling. And this is where people have to make up their mind if they truly want to change. Because if you decide to confront that thought and make a different choice, get ready because you're going to feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. It's going to feel unfamiliar. And there's going to be some uncertainty because you're stepping out of familiar territory. You're stepping out of the known and you're stepping into the unknown.
So your actions, behaviors, emotions, reactions, everything that comes after a certain thought, that thought that is being generated by the beliefs already set in your subconscious mind. I'll take the same example. If you feel you're not worthy, why do you feel that way? You feel that way, let's say, because you have had experiences up until now where you have felt worthless. And that I'm not talking about in relationships. Worthlessness can be felt due to a lot of experiences. It could have been at your workplace. Your work was not seen as good enough. It could have been in a relationship. It could have been in school. The people who are a cool gang did not see you as someone who's good enough for them. It could be at home. Maybe one sibling got a better treatment and you did not, and they made you feel worthless. So with these kind of experiences throughout our life, our subconscious mind gets impressed with the same thought again and again and again, that I am worthless. People don't find me charming enough, funny enough, good enough, caring enough for me to become a part of their life for a long, long time, or for me to become someone that they really consider as a beautiful part of their lives. They want to care for me. They want to be thoughtful towards me. They want to be considerate towards me. So now, because you have that belief, that thought will keep generating in the upcoming days, weeks, whenever you face that kind of situation where you can feel worthless, where maybe the other person's intention was not really to avoid you, ignore you. Maybe they were having a bad day themselves. But even in those kind of situations that you should not be taking personally, because you've felt that throughout your life, you will take it personally. And again, that belief will generate the similar kind of thoughts. Now that thought will create a feeling. So what Dr. Joe mentioned about the stimulus and the response is correct. The stimulus is your thought. Now that thought will generate a feeling, which is your response, the way your body is responding. You might feel low, you might feel shameful, you might feel disappointed, you might feel not good enough. And now your body craves those thoughts even more. Once your body has responded, it's going to think that thought again and again and again. So see how your belief is generating the thought, generating the feeling. Body is craving more of that thought, okay? And you're feeding more of that belief. This is I like to call it the hamster wheel, okay? In which we get stuck a lot throughout our lives. What is the way out of this hamster wheel? Awakening our consciousness, okay? And don't worry if those words sound too big to you. Throughout this video, I would be breaking down things for you to understand them better. So as he mentioned, unless you confront that thought, fine, you have a belief. Our main part that we need to change and target is that thought. Okay? If you don't confront that thought and replace it with a new thought, and then really put in a lot of repetition and discipline in the upcoming weeks and months to ensure that the belief behind that thought slowly starts fading away. Okay? You're feeding your mind new thoughts to replace that belief. Unless you confront that thought, that belief will not get replaced. Okay? And then you will be, unfortunately, stuck in this hamster wheel.
The brain immediately looks around in its environment to see if anything's changing because you're changing, and you see that nothing in your world is changing because you actually haven't fully changed yet. So the moment we look for evidence in our life and we don't see it, sooner or later, most people accept that thought, which leads to the same choice, which creates the same behavior, which creates the same experience, that produces the same feeling. Then they say, oh, this feels right to me. No, that feels familiar, because you've just returned back to the known self. I think that when people truly want to make up their mind to change and they become so conscious of those unconscious thoughts, they would never go unconscious to them again. That's the moment the body is being reconditioned to a new mind. If you inhibit that choice, that leads to that habit or that behavior. A habit is when you've done something so many times, the body knows how to do it better than the brain. Now you're stopping the body from being on its automation, on autopilot. And if the body's craving the feeling of unworthiness and you're stopping the body from feeling that way, and you're aware in your life how you speak, you're aware in your life how you're feeling, and you're checking in, you're saying, do I really want to feel this way? This is that river of change where you're going from the old self to the new self. So it makes sense then.
Okay, this part includes change and dealing with that change and how it causes a lot of resistance. So the river of change, which can also be called as resistance, okay? The river of change is when you're going from your old self to your new self. Now, when your body and mind is used to a certain kind of environment, okay? See, the funny part here is, this is something I used to always wonder myself. When you are in an unhealthy environment, that can be a relationship, that can be your parental home, when you are in a negative and toxic environment, okay? Understand this thing, that whatever you feed your body and mind a lot, I'm talking in terms of the people you surround yourself with, the kind of behaviors you surround yourself with, okay? Your body will get used to it. Now, at a conscious level, all human beings, okay, this is universal. We all are aware, we know we should not stay or we should not be in a toxic, unhealthy or negative environment. We know this, right? But still, because that experience is familiar to your mind, it has been for a long time, okay? If it's been months and months and especially years and years that you have been in that environment, it is still the comfort zone for your body and mind. So even though you know this is somewhere I should not be, this is somewhere no human being should be, you will still be pulled into those feelings, into that environment, because it's comforting to your mind and body for the simple reason that it's familiar with it. And whatever is familiar to your mind and body, it's going to always try to bring you back to that kind of environment. It's going to provide you some kind of relaxation and peace. The contradiction here is that environment is chaotic, but your mind is finding some kind of peace in it because it's familiar. This is also a part of resistance. When you want to shift from your old self to your new self, this gap in between where you're doing the work, when you're trying to change your habits, when you're trying to confront your thoughts, it's a lot of healing work, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of being aware and being conscious on a moment-to-moment basis, day-to-day basis. You are going to face a lot of resistance. Now, resistance, I really want you to understand that it will arrive as a guest in your manifestation process in a lot of different ways. There is no single way resistance will show up. It will always have a different kind of mask on. And the problem with people who are getting into conscious manifestation or increasing their consciousness and trying to be more aware or trying to heal themselves or trying to transform themselves and their life, you can give different kind of titles and labels to these things, but ultimately what we are teaching is the same thing. Resistance can show up in a form of procrastination. Okay, it might make you altogether just stop your discipline work, stop doing your techniques work, make you stop thinking about your desire as well. Because a lot of times when your desire is too big in your eyes, it might have a lot of fears and doubts around it, which again trigger that resistance to make you feel and think, okay, that this is too good for me. I get scared even thinking about it. Let me not think about this. So in this situation, it's not even allowing you to think about your desire. And we know that if you want to have your desire in your reality, you need to think about it. Okay, you need to do the work around it, the practice around it, the repetition around it. The second way resistance can show up is a bit better than you not wanting to think about it at all. It's something you feel in your stomach and in your chest when you're trying to affirm a new story, whether it's through visualization, in a conversation. And for me personally, it comes the most when I'm doing affirmations. I can visualize well without resistance. I can do inner conversations. But the moment I start affirming, that resistance shows up. What's a third way that resistance can show up in? It will remind you of your past experiences around that same area. It will make you feel not good enough. It will kind of laugh at you. Okay, and this is all happening in your head. Like, do you think this can really happen? This is so huge. It doesn't just happen for people, You won't be able to do this. Why are you wasting your time? So this third form can be this inner voice that is kind of bringing you down because you don't have that kind of confidence and trust, at least in that moment, in yourself. And don't worry, all that can be built up. The fourth way which resistance can show up in is what Dr. Joe mentions. So you do the work for some time, you try to redirect your thoughts, and then your body inevitably tries to look for movement, tries to look for evidence, tries to look for signs. I've been doing this, I've been affirming for 5 days. Where's the movement? I don't see any changes. Oh, let me just go back to my old patterns. Your resistance is pulling you back into your old patterns because that is something it's comfortable with. Okay, these are really sneaky ways in which your resistance will stop you from replacing those beliefs, those old unfavorable beliefs with new beliefs that will actually bring in that kind of transformation. And these are the main points. All these points I mentioned, I just mentioned 4 ways which came into my mind, but resistance can show up in so many different kind of ways. Just think about it this way. Anything that is happening physically, mentally, emotionally, that is trying to keep you away from persisting in your new story is resistance, nothing else. If during that moment you show patience and you push through, then you will learn how to push through. So each time it happens in the upcoming days, you will push through. Eventually, the resistance will start decreasing and fading away. And that's when your transformation journey actually starts. Not a minute before that.
If you said, okay, I'm going to sit down for a few minutes, I'm going to become so conscious of my unconscious self, my unconscious personality, that the victory today would not be going unconscious to those thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. Okay, let me get so familiar with them that I don't go unconscious. Okay, I got that down. Now, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? And if a belief is a thought that you keep thinking over and over again, with intention and with attention, you'll switch on that prefrontal cortex and assign meaning to the act and start installing new circuits in your brain. If you keep doing it over and over again, it becomes more hardwired, it becomes more automatic. And now you're installing a new belief that you are worthy of love, you are worthy of abundance, you are worthy to heal, whatever that is. That's the thought you do want to believe in. And when it matters the most is when it's the hardest. Because if you don't have the circuitry in place, you'll default back to the old programs, right? So then if you said, how am I going to be in my Zoom calls today? How am I going to be in traffic today? How am I going to be with my ex, my coworkers? And you started thinking about and rehearsing how you were going to act in certain situations. The brain actually doesn't know the difference between the real life experience and what you're imagining. The research on mental rehearsal shows that the brain will look like in time that it's already had the experience and it's vacant of the experience. How would it feel to feel worthy of love? How would it feel to be grateful for life? How would it feel to be worthy of abundance? And you said, I'm going to teach my body emotionally what this feels like before the manifestation of the event. You're not waiting for your life to change to feel worthy. You're actually changing your life by becoming worthy. You're generating abundance. You're generating love. You're creating an elevated emotion.
How can you be conscious in your day-to-day life? Okay, which is a really important part of manifestation. You will be conscious with intention and attention. Your attention is your superpower. Okay, manifestation and your own transformation is nothing but focus work. You want to focus on what you want to become and not focus on those habits and behaviors that are not favoring you. That's simple. Not waiting for the outside world to change, for you to change your behavior, actions, and feeling state. Okay? We talk about this all the time. The change begins here. It does not happen outside, and I will keep waiting for that. And depending on all the circumstances, people, behaviors, objects, things, situations outside, then I will change myself. No. If you need to change your external reality, you need to start the change here. You need to imagine the change here. You need to feel the change here. You need to change your state here. And that is when in your reality, that change will start reflecting. Coming into the feeling state, coming into the state of wish fulfilled, coming into that version of yourself, that identity of yourself that knows this is me now. And a really important point to never forget, that your mind does not know the difference, your subconscious mind, between what's real and what's imaginary. I have 3 detailed videos on my channel. You can watch the playlist Subconscious Mind, in which, in the simplest manner and in the simplest words, I have broken down how your subconscious mind actually works. And once you understand that, if you're someone who's not really spiritually aligned, you don't have to be, and you want to understand how your mind works in a really practical way, then you can do your own research or watch any of the YouTube videos that I have to understand how your subconscious mind works and why rewiring your subconscious mind will help you in manifesting the reality you're seeking. Just to give you a refresher and let you know what I mean by that with a small example. In case you fear something, okay, I'll give you a really small example. If you really fear insects, maybe it's a cockroach, maybe it's a lizard, maybe rats, or you fear getting injected, or you fear surgery. You don't have to go through those things for that fear to actually manifest in your body, okay? You can just imagine, visualize, think about you getting that injection, you having to do surgery for something, you having a rat right now outside your door, it's hitting your door. If you just imagine these scenarios, because you already have these beliefs set in your subconscious mind that I am scared of these things. And then you're putting in those thoughts, you're thinking about it. It will bring in feelings in your body of fear, okay, without it actually happening. So your mind will operate on your beliefs. It does not care what's happening in reality and what are you imagining. And that's why we are saying what you can think here, you can have it in your reality. Because it's all about you imagining and thinking. And repeating it enough, persisting in it enough, so that it can actually show up.
Your body is so objective that it actually believes that it's living in a whole new environment before the environment changes. In other words, the body's believing it's in that new future. And if the environment signals the gene, and it does, and the end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion, you're actually signaling genes ahead of the environment, and your body will begin to become conditioned to a new mind. Now think about this. If you did that every day, the word meditation literally means become familiar with. You become familiar with your old self. You become familiar with your new self, and you say, I'm not getting up until I feel this feeling. And then you say, I want to be able to bring this feeling up whenever I want. I'm going to keep remembering this feeling over and over again. It only takes a thought and a feeling, an image of the future and emotion, a stimulus and response. You can condition your body to believe it's living in a whole new life. And when you feel the emotions of your future, something amazing happens. You're no longer in lack or separation, so you're no longer looking for the event to take away that feeling of lack or separation. Your body's actually believing it's in the event. And so then you're not looking for it. You feel like it's already happened. Get ready, because that's when your life begins to change. And so one thought leads to a choice, which leads to behavior, which creates an experience that produces an emotion. So then new information, new knowledge begins to cause you to think differently. If you can remember that knowledge and begin to make a different choice because you want to experience the truth of that information, you'll have to behave differently. And when the experience occurs and you feel the feeling of your abundance or wealth, I guarantee you, you're going to continue wanting to make the process of change something consistent in your life.
It's here that I will debunk the whole notion around toxic positivity. Please try to understand. I have been repeating this a lot in my recent videos to really follow good coaches, good teachers, not the people who will instill fear in you. Please make sure that you know this, okay, and you internalize this fact that reacting is not the problem. A lot of people are still struggling with manifestation and kind of having a battle in their mind because they feel they cannot react. They are not allowed to react because if I react, that means something negative. And that means that I will not get my manifestation. You are a human being. Even the master manifestors react. Even the people who are really spiritual react. It has nothing to do with your human emotions. You trying to become a master manifester or even trying to become more conscious in your life, wanting to manifest something does not mean you have to put a pause to your human emotions. Reacting is not the issue over here. As Dr. Joe explained, the problem is how long are you going to react for? Now I'm going to match that with what we talk in the manifestation community. Dominant. When we say your dominant state manifests, your dominant thoughts and beliefs manifest. Dominant, what is dominant? Dominant is anything that has more power, okay, over something else. So your dominant beliefs and thoughts and behaviors have power over all of your other wishes, hopes, thoughts and beliefs. Wherever your attention goes more, if this is one situation and it has 90% of your attention, and this situation has 10% of your attention, this is your dominant state of being. Whatever feelings, emotions, and state this situation is putting you in, that is your dominant state. So the fact that you react to a certain situation for a long time, you're reacting to it every day. And reaction does not mean in that moment when that situation takes place, you reacted then. When I say you're reacting to it every day, you're replaying that situation in your mind every single day, feeling the same reaction, feeling the same anger, feeling your blood boil, okay, feeling the same grudge or resentment. You are willingly, after that situation has taken place, reacting to it day after day after day. And right now you're in that hamster wheel that I spoke about. So that thought of what happened, what took place a few days back is creating this feeling and emotions in your body, whether it's anger or disappointment. And now your body craves more of those thoughts. So again, from your emotions and feelings, you're going back to that thought. And then that thought is feeding that belief again. So reaction is not the issue here. How long will you react to it? Will determine your state. Will determine where your focus is going dominantly. Wherever your focus goes, energy flows.
It's not that you react. The question is, how long are you going to react? That's the real question. Because, I react all the time. Everybody does. But if you're going to stay there and you're going to live in that emotional state, you will see life through that lens of that emotion, right? So now it gets complicated because the stronger the emotion you feel towards certain people or problems in your life, the more you pay attention to them. And where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So change. Just be ready because you're going to feel uncomfortable a lot of the time. Now, the question is, do you want to stay there? So then most people think they don't have any control over their emotional state. They think, I'm just this way and I feel this way. Well, we actually can show people that that's not the truth, that when it's the hardest, it matters the most. And if you're able to really work and train your body like you're training an animal to stop feeling one way and start feeling another way, that's the moment you make up your mind to no longer be defined by your past. Why are you being defined by your past? Because emotions are a record of the past. And so then if you're feeling that emotion, your body is believing it's back in that same experience of the past. So the more knowledge that we have and understanding that justified, valid or not, those emotions are hurting no other person but you, because the long-term effects of living by those emotional states, those survival states, are actually down-regulating genes and creating diseases. Sooner or later, you're going to have to ask yourself, is this loving to myself? And forgiveness is just when you overcome the emotion, you take your attention off that person or that problem, and you're freeing yourself and you're freeing them.
This is the importance of feeling your emotions. People do a lot of things to distract themselves just so that they don't feel their emotions and they don't have to deal with it. Okay? But if you're someone who wants to become a conscious manifester, transform your life, transform yourself, your behaviors, your actions, your emotions, the first thing is, as he mentioned, just knowing the fact that yes, I can change an emotional state. The thing with negative situations, unfavorable situations, is that when you're in that situation, it's always going to seem like this cannot change. Always pick up any kind of situation that you were in from your personal experience that you felt like this will never change. And look at where you are today. Just knowing the simple fact, just being aware of it, even before putting in the work that yes, this can change. The situation can change. A person's emotional state can change. Is half of the work done. Okay? Be happy, 50% of your work is done. Now the remaining 50% is definitely applying it. As he rightly said, as long as you're stuck in unfavorable feelings and emotions, which are usually related to your past. And now in this clip, you might be able to understand it in a better manner when I say why you need to let go of your past before you try to enter the process of conscious manifestation. I've spoken about this in detail in both my previous reaction videos. Letting go of the past is really important for yourself, not even for that person involved in it or anything else that is involved in it, for yourself, so you can move ahead. Dropping the past, dealing with the emotions around it, not suppressing your emotions, being aware of your older self, confronting yourself that is this the way I really want to feel going forward, because these feelings and emotions are going to stop me from experiencing something new. And then with that consciousness, trying to do the work that will help you in reaching your new self. Confronting that thought, dealing with those emotions, letting them go with a lot of kindness and compassion to yourself and forgiveness to yourself.